In this third video and last video, I'm going to walk you through the planning through revising stage of your Supporting a Position with Sources essay. Now, just to say a couple things on time, last week you did this first part where you came up with your idea and sources and thesis. Here we're working on planning through revising, and it will likely take you between 4 to 6 hours to complete this stage of the writing process. So if it helps, you may want to set some time goals for yourself, like saying, all right, I will complete the outline portion of my essay by noon on Friday. Okay, that can just help you stay on track for this paper and to make sure that you schedule yourself enough time. All right, the first thing that you really need to do before sitting down and outlining your paper is to synthesize your sources in your mind and what they mean. So what this does is it helps you be in charge of the conversation of your paper and not your sources. You're in the driver's seat and you want to say how this information from this source and this idea, how they all relate together to answer your thesis. So what I have here are a few questions, and they're kind of pulled and similar from what you find in your Bedford textbook in chapter 29, but they are these. Basically, can you sort of summarize what you found with all of your research in a few sentences, okay? And then focus on the ideas from your sources, not necessarily exact words or facts. And can you, in your own words, explain how all the information you found, how is it similar, different, and related, okay? And maybe do your sources, do they share assumptions or similar conclusions? Do they represent alternatives or opposites? And sometimes that happens with research where you get differing views, and then think about how am I going to bring these views together to say what I want them to say. So there's an activity for this in your worksheet. Please go ahead and pause the video and complete that, and then come back and I'll move you on to the next step. All right, so once you've kind of in your own mind figured out how all these sources relate together, it's helpful to do a storyboard, okay? And the reason for a storyboard is it prevents you from doing the cardinal sin in research writing of basically just organizing your paper by your sources. So you might say the first source I read said blank, and then the second source said this. You never want to do this in a research paper. It is a big no-no and shows basically that you're an amateur and you don't know how to write a research paper or synthesize your sources yet, okay? So what you want to do is think about being in control of the conversation. What I recommend is kind of on a piece of paper, sketch out this diagram right here if you can. And in the center, write down the answer to your thesis. So remember that little template I gave you, because I want to find out blank? Well, by now you should have kind of answered that question for yourself. You have what you want to know and find out. So put that answer right here. And then off of this answer, try to come up with at least 3 reasons why you think this answer is correct. And focus on big picture reasons why. Don't give specific quotes or evidence just yet, but kind of broaden it out. Make it abstract in general. All right, then from there, what you would do is give your quotes to support these reasons, or a fact. And you need to have at least one, but I really recommend aiming for 2 in each section, okay? And for your reasons, this template has 4. You can have up to 4, but I have seen students even write really good research papers that just had 2 clear reasons for their essay. So there's not really a golden rule here for how many reasons you need or pieces of evidence per paper. It's just what you have. So go ahead right now and pause the video and complete your own storyboard. I would like you to attach it in the worksheet, a photo of it, or text that to me if you can. So go ahead, pause the video, complete this, and come back. All right, now that you have your storyboard, I'm going to show and explain how to turn that into an outline for your paper, or basically how to turn it into your paper. So you have your thesis right here, and basically your thesis comes up and is in your introduction. This is where you maybe give some context for what caused your question or what you wanted to learn, maybe even a real interesting fact about your topic to draw the reader in, okay? And then you would take one of your reasons and then start expanding on that in your in the body of your paragraph. Now, of course, in your thesis, you're outlining what you'll be saying in the rest of your essay. Now, I will say a couple notes. There's no rule in writing that says an essay has to be 5 paragraphs long. I'm just giving that to you as the general format. And it may be that for some of your reasons, you need to use more than one paragraph to cover all of your evidence. That is perfectly okay to do so. Just make sure that each paragraph has its own topic sentence, evidence, and analysis, and then a connection back to the thesis. Okay. And like I said earlier, one student wrote a real excellent paper. They only had 2 reasons, but they had multiple paragraphs for each reason. So that was fine. So you just keep doing this. You keep going through for each of your reasons and putting those in the body of your paragraph. And I just recommend organizing those reasons in the way that makes the most sense, either from simplest to complex or by chronology, or whatever makes the most sense to you. So once you then have your draft, it's time to revise. There's an excellent checklist in chapter 11 on page 203. It's at the end of the supporting your position with sources chapter. But here are some other questions I have. Just, is your main idea and position clear? Does each paragraph have a topic sentence? That's a big one. Do you clearly state the reasons and the evidence that support your thesis? Do you introduce where you got your information and include your in-text citations? That's important. Do all of your quotes have quotation marks around them? Believe it or not, that's a very common mistake that I encounter with students. And then I would say this, is no more than 20% of your paper quotes. And even 20% might be a little high. You really want to aim for kind of summarizing and paraphrasing when you can, and only quoting when the absolute exact wording is real important from your source. All right, so at this point, just finish your storyboard, your draft, and revise your essay and turn it in, and I'm looking forward to reading it next week. And of course, if you have questions or get stumped by anything, please reach out to me by email or text, and I'll be by my phone all weekend to help you through those tricky writing problems that you maybe encounter.